Hello and welcome to Love Avenue, proudly sponsored by Diadem Counseling Center. So we would like to give you an experience firsthand of exactly what you should expect when you visit Diadem Counseling Center, and that's why we have our panel of counselors that are coming from Diadem Counseling Center so that you can pick out one you would like to actually get to talk to. So we do have Counselor Chipo, Counselor Edwin, as well as Counselor Tawani, all coming from Diadem Counseling Center. I am your host, my name is Blue, and today we dive yet into another very, very interesting topic that will get to evoke so much emotions because we're talking intimacy, we're talking chemistry. Our topic of discussion today is emotional intimacy much more important than physical chemistry? Is emotional intimacy much more important than physical chemistry? So we're definitely going to break everything down. I'm going to start with Councillor Edwin Zulu over here, who's very close to me. Before we even get into everything else, first we would like to understand how we would define emotional intimacy and how it's different from physical chemistry.
Okay, yeah. So if you're talking about emotional intimacy, you're talking about the closeness, meaning that you're so closer in your emotions, meaning that in your emotions, you're talking about anger, crying, excitement, feelings, and the like. Mm-hmm. So you find that emotional intimacy simply means being closer in your mind, in your chemistry, in your thinking, in your brain, as opposed to your physical. Because physical has to do with the touch. Physical has to do with really seeing each other and being together and maybe sorting out one or two things together. But the mind is the one that begins the process. So if emotional intimacy is not there in the mind, it cannot work in the physical, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Because remember, I always say that the brain is the engine of everything. The brain that is on that leads you to do one or two things. In fact, we say that the brain is the engine of the physical act, so to speak. So if you're talking about intimacy, emotional intimacy, you are talking about the real thing that shows in the physical being, or shows clearly what one is thinking, what one has gone through, or what one is crying about, or what one is experiencing, so to speak.
So in situations where, you meet someone and you like the way they look physically, you like their face, you like their eyes and whatnot, but then you're just not emotionally connected to them. Can that relationship survive long term if only you are physically attracted to them and not emotionally connected?
Okay, so at a physical level, of course, there's going to be chemistry between the two of you because, it's just to excite your feelings. Mm-hmm. So it's just the way the person looks and, because you have certain things in common, the same, type of music that you like. And so you think you connect at that level. Mm-hmm. But now it goes deeper when you start to experience some things, some emotional issues that you're dealing with, okay? It would be depression. Yes. It can be, something that really gets your emotions in a twist, for lack of a better term, and I say that loosely. But now, how do you connect with a person at that level? Because if a person is feeling something, like I've stated, maybe it can be grief. So somebody is grieving. And how does this person who does not understand what this other person is going through, how do they support that person? So at that point now is where you are supposed to actually really discover emotionally how you are going to connect with that person during that moment of need, because there is a need there that the person is requiring from the other party. And how does the other party meet that person at that level? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, we neglect the emotions because we are thinking, just the butterflies and dinosaurs in the stomach is all that is required, Yes. And then when it comes to the actual emotions themselves, we don't want to deal with that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, deal with your issues. After that, get back to me and we'll be good to move along, So you find that when it comes to that level of emotion, that's when people draw away because they're really just not ready for that. They're not ready to connect with somebody at that emotional level. And so sometimes you want to hide away those emotions just for the sake of having this relationship to survive and all. But in marriage, that's where the real issue begins.
I'm glad
because it
you've
comes
actually talked about, like being vulnerable with your person. And sometimes you can even like have really, really great chemistry with your partner, but then your communication is just very, very poor. Like you can't really be vulnerable with this person. What causes poor communication if you have great chemistry?
So, like Madam Toani emphasized on vulnerability, it's very important to have that sense of vulnerability when you are with somebody, because that is your person. And if you're going to get married, or if you are married, you are one, so there is nothing that you're supposed to hide. You're supposed to produce the raw version of you. So the only time that communication doesn't happen is because that foundation is not there. You are not connected in the vulnerable space. So you have not expressed who you are as a person, or your faults, or your flaws, and just who you are as a default human being. That has not been expressed. So it's very difficult to be able to communicate effectively, because when you know somebody, it's easy to understand what they are saying. It's easy to understand how they are coming out. But then if you have not connected in a very vulnerable, emotionally intimate way, when somebody comes out, you won't really have some sort of translation, like a normal translation to what they are trying to say.
You've talking about, like having that at the inception of the relationship. So is emotional intimacy something that is supposed to be present when you're starting the relationship, or is it something that can grow even as you go on with the relationship or marriage?
Or either way, yes, it can start, or as you grow on in your relationship, it begins to show. Because as Madame Toani said, you find that maybe a partner in marriage or a partner in courtship has got a lot of issues: depression, grieving, excitement, or anger, or other things that has to do with emotions. But I think you can check it out on your partner, he or she, and also begin to move together so that you understand their temperamental disposition, human behavior. Because I tell you, we people are different. God has created us very differently. There are 4 categories of temperamental disposition, human behavior. There's the sanguine. The sanguine is ardent, optimistic, friendly, outgoing, and assertive. But when it comes to the choleric, easily angered, short-tempered, suspicious. It's psychological, actually. It's psychological. So when you also come to the phlegmatic is indifferent. It doesn't care, sluggish, slow. I'll tell you one thing about a phlegmatic. Phlegmatic, even when the mother dies or the brother, it doesn't cry. It doesn't affect him emotionally. He's not grieving, so to speak. That's how he has been made. So you now also come to the melancholy. Melancholy, those are people that are moody, gloomy, sad, and maybe even suspicious, so to speak. So you find that when the melancholy is happy or is in good mood, you give you a lot of money. You cook some food for you. But when it's moody, it's gloomy, he will not talk to you, or she will not talk to you. You will not do anything to you, so to speak. So we need to agree that God has created us different. So that's the reason why we go into courtship, to study each other. I'll give an example of myself. I am a sanguine. My wife is a phlegmatic. So sometimes I have to put up with that. There are certain things that she does. And so we also look at it from the psychological point of view, psychological positions. You have somebody who has got a wholesome personality. It's assertive. You say, you are okay, I'm okay. No suspicion. But when you come to the projective one will say, I'm okay, you're not okay. So he's a kind of person that blames whatever happens to him or against him. He blames somebody else. So
take accountability.
Yeah. So you have also the introjective one. The introjective one says, "I'm not okay. You're okay." Yeah, defeatist kind of attitude. So whatever you do, you're okay. But myself, I'm not okay. So you also come to the other psychological position, which is for futility, so to speak. Futility says, I'm not okay, I'm not okay. These are the guys that can commit suicide, can kill, can do criminal acts, because as far as they're concerned, they're hopeless. Things are not okay. They're not okay with them. They're also not okay with other people. So they think, I think, let me just rebel and do whatever I think is right. So it's important to know each other's emotions. And if
At the beginning of the relationship.
Exactly, and also as you go on, yes.
No. Oh, all right. You know, as you are growing older, we all change. Like, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Your face gets to change. For women, you know, there's change that comes after you have kids. And maybe the person that you are with might not always be attracted to the new version of you. But in a situation where, you know, like physical attraction just fades away and emotional intimacy is still there, can that relationship survive?
Yes, it can survive as long as the two are understanding of each other and the phases of life. I mean, when people are saying we should grow old together, and then you ask them to say, how does that really look like when you state that? Because those are stages of life that, you know, you will have to go through as long as you're on earth and you're alive, you know. So at that point, how do you handle such? You know, like you stated, in women, you find that there's menopause. Then with the men, you find there's a midlife crisis.
Yes.
So how do you now navigate your way as a couple during those transitions? So during those transitions, when you are not expectant of this, or, you know, it comes out new because I'm not so used to this, how do you navigate your way around it? Now that is where the part of the emotional connection comes in, because now you are beginning to understand each other from that perspective. It's just not all rosy. It's not going to be springtime every single time, summer and all. It definitely, it will pour, actually, you know. So during those times now where the clouds are really heavy, how do you navigate your way as a couple? So that's when now communication also comes in. Express yourselves. Okay. And like for the men, if they find a safe space in their partner, they'll be able to open up like that. But if they don't feel that way, no, they will withdraw. So it's at that level as well. So do you get to know your partner at that level where you're saying, can I trust you enough with my feelings? Aren't you going to throw them right back at me? You know, I'm struggling with something, but are you a safe space for me to be able to open up to you? And I know I'll be protected in that, you know, regard.
Okay, speaking of expressing yourself and just being vulnerable to your partner, there are people who are very hyper-independent. They don't want to express their emotions. They don't want to be vulnerable. But why is it just important for you to just open up to yourself, to your partner, and just be vulnerable? You know, you allow them to see you in that space.
With a relationship, and like I said earlier, you have become one, okay? Or you rather want to become one in a relationship as you progress for marriage, right? So there is no way a relationship can work if you don't know each other. At some point, it's going to crumble. It will take, older times or as soon as possible, but the fact is it's going to break. You know, it's very important to be vulnerable because that is actually the best level of intimacy, when you are vulnerable with somebody. When somebody is able to see you in your weakest moments. So a hyper-independent person, if they want to start something with somebody, they need to actually choose somebody they can trust. Okay, they have to choose somebody they can trust, that they are going to build a relationship with. But otherwise, that is the foundation, unfortunately. That is the foundation, yes.
And what really does it take to build emotional intimacy? Does the person need to be mature? Does immaturity sabotage your ability to actually be emotionally intelligent?
Emotionally intelligent, very nice. Well, what it is during the first phases probably of a relationship, you're getting to know each other. So you want to hide away who you really are. You know, if you are somebody who certain things get to you quickly,
get irritated
exactly
fast.
quickly, you know, and stuff like that. You want to hold back that. Those are not things you want to show from, you know, from the get go to somebody who is a potential mate that, oh, I'm like this. So we all just want to play the good person part. But then when we actually start to get used to this person, oh, then it's going to come out, especially in marriage. It doesn't matter how long you've been in a relationship with this person. Trust me, when you're in that house, that's when you are going to see the person for who they really are. And you're like, oh, I thought I knew you, but hey, you know, like, what's going on? You know, it's like they switched people or something like that, you know. And so when you are getting to know each other, as both counselors have stated, it is very, very important that you actually kind of test the waters. And what I mean by that is ask the critical questions. When the stages of dating and or courtship before marriage is about making sure you get all the details. Of course, it may not be the 100% full details of what will tell you how this person is like, but no, do it deliberately maybe. Rattle them up a bit. Just see how they actually, you know, flare up during a time when something is heated. Or try and see, okay, are they, you know, how do they act in such a manner? Or what do you think about this? Pick their brains for you to be able to understand from that perspective how a person comes out. And then you're going to be able to say, oh, okay, so in such circumstances, this person comes out like this. What you want is somebody who you can actually open up to. You're not going to open up to every Jim and Jack out there, to the entire world, but you want a personal person who you are going to be very, very real and candid with, and they won't judge you because all you're saying is, look, I'm dropping my walls, I'm dropping my guard down. This is me. This is who I am. Are you willing to accept me as me? I have all the flaws, and I'm not saying no, I'm not working at it. No, I am working at me, but this is me. This is what I come with. So is the other person mature enough to also accept, to say, oh, okay, the person is just being who they are. Can I live with this?
Oh yeah, and sometimes, you know, people that have built a wall around themselves, sometimes it comes from having a bad experience. Like, you know, like you once opened up to someone and then they just took your business out there. You argue with your wife and the next thing you hear is that, my husband doesn't like his clothes being washed, you know, and that sort of like breaks the trust. But can emotional intimacy be rebuilt after that trust is broken?
Oh, sure, yes, it can. Like I said earlier on, that we are created differently. We're different human beings, and also our approach is very different. Alluding to what Madame Toani said, you find that you don't know this person in courtship very well, but when you go into marriage, you begin to see the true colors. Actually, what we say is that you only discover 20% in courtship, you see, and 30% is discovered after your spouse has died. That's when you know a lot of bad things that maybe you used to do before you married
kids
you.
out there.
Exactly, yes, exactly. You're right. In fact, you're right, yes. That was an ex-jailbait, and also certain things that he did or she did quite all right. But 50% is discovered in marriage. Because like Madame Tuan said, you cannot hide. You can't hide. In fact, he said 2 years after you are marrying, after you've married, so to speak, you begin to see to layer a lot of familiar things that, Edwin Zulu is a talkative man. He's greedy.
But he used to act shy in the
Exactly, he
courtship.
doesn't want. Yeah, because I didn't want to lose my courtship with my so-called lady. Equally, also the ladies don't want to lose their courtship, particularly if they love the man. They don't want to lose that courtship going into marriage, so they'll pretend. But yes, emotional trust can be rebuilt. But what you need is maturity, like Madame Tuan said. You need maturity. You need to be open up. You need to open up. You need to talk. You need to understand that there are levels of growth. There are levels of doing things. Maybe your partner has changed, and you need to bear with him. You need to understand him. And also going back to the vows, for better, for worse. Until death do us part. So what is breaking young men's and young women's marriages nowadays is because there is no patience, there's no maturity, there's no communication. And also, they don't hold to the vows. They're not true to their vows. they don't love their wife or their husband. They don't cherish them, and in sickness and health, in poverty and riches, until death do them part. So they quickly begin to look at faults and quickly run away or move away. But if you are mature, you give her time. You give him time to rebuild that emotional trust, because emotions, they have to do with anger, excitement, happiness, even being angry and depressed, so to speak. But if you're patient enough, you'll be able to rebuild your emotional trust.
And for people who take so much time to accept that maybe they might need counseling services, perhaps they have, issues that happened in their past, would you say those unhealed wounds actually do play a role in the way that they're emotionally intimate with their partner?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give an example of somebody with trust issues. This person in the past has tried to trust somebody with very sensitive part of themselves, and then they end up being shut down. That is going to affect how they relate with people going forward. So this person can come through with very pure intentions, but then you'll still be skeptical. What do you want from me? So those emotional traumas, they do affect you as you grow and as you are interacting with people. So it's very important to reach a stage where you become aware. To say, okay, I think I need help in this area. Because sometimes, for the example that I gave of somebody with trust issues, right? It happens in the most ridiculous moments. Something is very plain, but you'll be overthinking it. Say, okay, so why are you breathing like this? That type of thing.
Breathing like a generator.
Yes, they're answering for who is that? Let me see your phone. The person is not there, snooping in their phone and this and this. And so once you're able to see, to say, okay, these are very unhealthy habits. And it's distressing the other person that you're with. Once you come to that awareness, there's also the next step of where you now have to go and look at them and be like, okay, so what are the roots of these things? And then you have to learn to accept these things. So once you are aware, it's important to seek help from there.
Oh, sure.
Seek help, yeah?
100%. It's important to seek help, because the thing about, I'll give a good example of myself. I thought I could do therapy on myself for like the longest time, until I engaged with an actual therapist. I saw that was the tip of the iceberg. There's so many things that I needed to work on. So it's very important to talk to a professional, to tell them, because what a professional does is they are going to unravel things that are very unclear to you. It's like, I'm wearing glasses right now. For you, the glasses are fogged. The professional will come and clean them up and say, see, this is what's going on. So yes.
All right. And just to close off your closing remarks, I'll start with you, Councillor Towani. If somebody is going out there, they're looking for somebody, should they prioritize emotional connection or physical attraction?
You can't connect emotionally with the person instantly. That only comes now when you start to relate with the person. And that's when you start to connect emotionally.
So which one's more important?
I guess both. Yes, I'll just say
We'll
both
leave it
for now. We'll leave it at that. We'll say both.
Councillor Edwin?
Yeah, let's not injure people's emotions, because if we injure their emotions, we may not go forward in our relationship, or we might live a very sad life, so to speak.
So physical attraction or emotional
Yeah,
connection?
both actually. Yeah.
Both you
Yes,
think?
yeah. Have
Chipo?
respect for him or her.
Yeah. Physical attraction is the first thing, of course, that is going to bring you to somebody. Of course, you don't want to talk to somebody that you're not physically attracted to. But overall, I think it's very important to have had worked on yourself as a person. Because once you have very healthy habits with yourself, it's very easy for you to talk to people in a very authentic way. And if somebody has bad intentions towards you, it doesn't affect you because you are safe in yourself. So that is the first foundation.
So physical attraction or...
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So, of course, you'll be physically attracted to somebody. That is the start, but then that fades. It fades. It's important to, like I said, once you are fulfilled in yourself, you always want the best for yourself. So emotional intimacy is the best thing for yourself. If somebody doesn't give it to you, then too bad.
Before physical
But
attraction.
yes.
And how we get to close off right here, very interesting topic that we had. We were talking which one is actually more important between emotional intimacy and physical attraction, and the counselors have broken it down very, very well. But if you would like to reach out to any of them, that is via Diadem Counseling Center, please do email us at diademcounselingcenter@gmail.com. Otherwise, my name is Blue. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back next time.